Mayor, 5 minutes after. Thank you.
He's pretty cool about it. You got a lot of excitement.
I'd like to call this meeting of your Newark City Council to order, March 20th, 2023. If your name, please call the roll.
Mr. Hauser.
Here.
Mr. Labutus.
Here.
Mr. Lang.
Present.
Mr. Marmy.
Present.
Mr. Rath.
Here.
Mr. Ryan.
Here.
Mr. Parker.
Here.
Ms. Blind. Here. Mr. Harris.
Here.
Here.
We have all here present this evening. If you please rise for the invocation by Mr. Labutus and remain standing.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, as we come to you prayer this evening, we thank you for this beautiful day that you've given us, this first day of spring. As we come together to discuss the city of the business, we just ask a special blessing over our safety director and his family, Mr. Hickman, and the passing of his father. I just ask that you would comfort him and comfort the family in this time of loss and help us to come together around them as a community, as a city community, and be supportive of them in the next few days. I said that should be with our discussions this evening, helps them to be fruitful and help us to keep in mind your vision for our city. These things I ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce Kaylin Firestone, first grader Blessed Sacrament, here with her parents. She's going to lead us in the pledge. Whenever you're ready.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great job. Thank you. Feel free to go ahead and go if you'd like. Now would be a good time. Next, we have caucus. That's the time for council to discuss anything pertaining to the agenda tonight. Do we have anything? Yes, Hawk.
I need to abstain on resolution 23-18 and 23-19.
23-18 and 23-19.
Resolution.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Next, we have the minutes of our March 6, 2023 meeting. Is a motion to approve those? Motion by Mr. Labutus, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes. Thank you. There are no appointments this evening. There are 2 reports from standing committees, one from finance and one from service. Without objection, those will be received and filed. We have 3 reports tonight from city officials, one from our auditor, Ryan Bubb, the operating report for the period ending February 2023, one from Brenda Cooper, our tax administrator, income tax revenue reports for the period ending February 28, 2023, and one from Roger Loomis, our water administrator, properties being sent to lien for past due water and sewer bills. Without objection, those will be received and filed. We have 1 communication tonight from the Ohio Department of Liquor Control, a transfer of a liquor application from BBQ LLC 5 North 3rd to 5 North 3rd LLC. So it's be yes. Without objection, that'll be received and filed. Next on the agenda, we have comments from citizens. This is your opportunity to be heard. This is not a debate or a question and answer period with council. This is just your time. Would anyone like to speak tonight? If you raise your hand, I'll bring you up in order. Ma'am? Anyone else like to speak this first section? Again, there's another section after the legislation. Just give us your name and address for the record.
Rochelle Golden Smith, 237 Violet Court. I would like to say I'm kind of pleased with the city's position on as of the last time it was discussed on the gambling issue. And since then, I've heard a really good program on WOSU that was available and others on more on that issue. One thing is, that was discussed was, that the goal is not, just about these, skill, sort of things, but the goals after that. And those seem to be, toward, things like sports betting online and, other, gambling issues because they're the bigger money makers. And I think the public needs to be aware of that. Because especially in these times, the public is very vulnerable and it's going to continue to be. So I think we need to be vigilant. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinances on the second reading. There are none tonight. Ordinances on the first reading. There are none tonight. Now we'll move to resolutions on the second reading, 23-17.
Resolution number 23-17 by Mr. Marmy, Mr. Labutus, Mr. Barker, Mr. Rath, Mr. Hauser, Mr. Ryan, Ms. Blind. A resolution appropriating monies for current expenses of the municipal corporation.
First, second reading of 23-17. What is your wish?
Mr. President,
Mr. Marmy.
make a motion to adopt resolution 23-17.
Motion by Mr. Marmy. Second by Mr. Lang. Is there any discussion on 23-17? Seeing none, Janine, please call the roll vote.
Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
Mr. Rath.
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
Ms. Blind.
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Mr. Collier.
Yes.
23-17 passes 10-0. Next on the second reading, we have 23-18.
Resolution number 23-18 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Marmy, Mr. Barker, Mr. Labutus, Ms. Blind, and Mr. Hauser. A resolution authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service for the city of Newark, Ohio to enter into a lease agreement with Park National Bank for the lease purchase of one medic unit for the Division of Fire.
You've heard the second reading of 23-18. What is your wish?
Mr. President,
Mr. Rath.
make a motion to adopt 23-18.
Motion by Mr. Rath, second by Mr. Barker. Is there any discussion on 23-18? Seeing none, Janine, please call the roll vote.
Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
Mr. Rath.
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
Ms. Blind.
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Ms. Hollinger.
Abstain.
23-18 passes 9-0 and 1 abstention. Next, we move on to 23-19.
Resolution number 23-19 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Marmy, Mr. Barker, Ms. Blind, Mr. Labutus, and Mr. Hauser. A resolution authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service for the city of Newark, Ohio to enter into a lease purchase agreement with the Park National Bank for the purchase of 2 snowplows.
For the second reading of 23-19, what is your wish?
Mr. President,
Mr. Rath.
I make a motion to approve 23-19.
Motion by Mr. Rath, second by Mr. Barker. Is there any discussion on 23-19? Seeing none, Janine, please call the roll vote.
Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
Mr. Rath.
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
Ms. Blind.
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Ms. Hollinger.
Abstain.
23-19 passes 9-0 and 1 abstention. Next on the second reading, we have 23-20.
Resolution number 23-20 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Marmy, Mr. Barker, Ms. Hollinger, Ms. Blind, and Mr. Labutus. A resolution authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service to enter into an amended agreement with the Newark Development Partners as its agency and instrumentality for commercial development in the city of Newark.
You've heard the second reading of 23-20. What is your wish?
Mr. President,
Mr. Rath.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt 23-20.
Motion by Mr. Rath, second by Mr. Barker. Is there any discussion on 23-20? Seeing none, Janine, please call the roll vote.
Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
Mr. Rath.
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
Ms. Blind.
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Ms. Hollinger.
Yes.
23-20 passes 10-0. Next, we have 23-21.
Resolution number 23-21 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Marmy, Mr. Barker, Ms. Hollinger, and Mr. Labutus. A resolution authorizing the mayor to execute necessary paperwork to have the city of Newark, Ohio join the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission.
You've heard the second reading of 23-21. What is your wish?
Mr. President,
Mr. Rath.
make a motion to adopt 23-21.
Motion by Mr. Rath,
Second.
second by Mr. Barker. Is there any discussion on 23-21? Ms. Blind?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I'm wondering, is it 3 representatives to be chosen to present Newark's mandate to the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission? Do we know who they are yet?
Is that Director Calesa?
Is that
Yeah,
okay?
go ahead. Yeah, well, you asked me and I'll say
Okay,
if that's a
yes.
good question. Go ahead.
We don't exactly, because I'm gonna clarify that count, number one, but number two, they have some recommendations, like somebody from transportation, somebody from public works, myself as the highest ranking elected officials, things like that is generally who does do that, so that's probably what I was, but I'll keep you updated.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Anything
you.
else?
No, sir.
Anyone else? Janine, please call the roll vote.
Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mr. Labutus?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Marmy?
Yes.
Mr. Rath?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Ms. Blind?
Yes,
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger?
yes,
23-21 passes 10-0. And finally, we move on to resolutions on the first reading, 23-22.
Resolution number 23-22 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Barker, Mr. Marmy, Mr. Labutus, and Ms. Blind. Resolution authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service of the City of Newark, Ohio to advertise for bids and enter into contract for the off-site disposal and beneficial reuse of biosolids from Newark's wastewater treatment plant.
23-22 will be held for 2 weeks until our next meeting on April 3rd. Next, we go to 23-23.
Resolution number 23-23 by Mr. Marmy, Mr. Labutus, Mr. Barker, Ms. Blind, and Mr. Rath. A resolution appropriating monies for current expenses of the municipal corporation.
And 23-23 will be held for 2 weeks until our next meeting. And next, 23-24A.
Resolution number 23-24A by Mr. Rath, Mr. Barker, Mr. Marmy, Mr. Labutus, and Ms. Blind. A resolution authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service of the City of Newark, Ohio to apply for, accept, and enter into a water supply revolving loan account agreement on behalf of the City of Newark for planning, design, and or construction of lead service line replacements and designating a dedicated repayment source for the loan and declaring an emergency.
23-24A is on its first reading. It is an emergency. What is your wish?
Mr. President,
Mr. Rath.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt 23-24A.
Motion by Mr. Rath, second by Mr. Barker. Is there any discussion on 23-24A?
Mr. President,
Mr. Rath.
the reason we have the emergency clause on this is to meet the loan deadlines.
Thank you, Mr. Rath. Anyone else? Janine, please call the roll vote.
Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mr. Labutus?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Marmy?
Yes.
Mr. Rath?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Blind?
yes,
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger?
yes,
23-24A passes 10-0. Next, we have 23-25.
Resolution number 23-25 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Barker, Mr. Marmy, Mr. Labutus, and Ms. Blind. A resolution authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service of the City of Newark, Ohio to advertise for bids and enter into contracts subject to the appropriation of funds for replacement of lead service lines within the water distribution system for project years 2023 to 2027.
And 23-25 will be held for 2 weeks until our next meeting on April 3rd. And finally, we have 23-26.
Resolution number 23-26 expedited by Mr. Marmy, Mr. Barker, Mr. Labutus, Mr. Rath, and Ms. Blind. A resolution appropriating monies for the current expenses of the municipal corporation.
23-26, Mr. Monson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Make a motion to waive the 2-day reading rule on resolution 23-26.
Motion to waive the 2-day reading rule by Mr. Marmy,
Second.
second by Mr. Lyon. Mr. Marmy.
Thank you, Mr. President. We need to expedite this. This is a bill that is due for the entrance here to City Hall. And we need to expedite that so we can get that paid off.
Thank you, Mr. Marmy. Janine, please call the roll, waive the 2-day reading rule.
Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mr. Labutus?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Marmy?
Yes.
Mr. Rath?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Ms. Blind?
yes,
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger?
yes,
2-day reading rule is waived, Mr. Marmy.
Thank you, Mr. President. Make a motion to adopt resolution 23-26.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Marmy, second by Mr. Lyon. Any other discussion on 23-25? Seeing none, Janine, please call the roll vote.
Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mr. Labutus?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Marmy?
Yes.
Mr. Rath?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Ms. Blind?
yes,
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger?
yes.
23-25 passes 10-0. And that concludes legislation tonight. Thank you.
That was 26.
26.
Thank you, that 23-26. Thank you. Put the line through 25. Thank you. Okay. Just want to make sure. Just want to make sure. Next on the agenda, we have our second opportunity for comments from citizens. Again, this is not a debate or a question and answer period with council. This is your chance to be heard. Do we have anybody who would like to speak? Ma'am, anyone else? Somebody come on.
Chief McKee with the police department.
Just want to give you a little update on what we have going on. You guys appropriated a whole bunch of projects for us last year. They're almost every single one is completely enacted right now. Chief Riley is taking a long 2-week vacation as a result. But just to give you, like I said, where we're sitting here currently year to date. So currently we have 68 officers. We just sworn in 2 a week or so ago. We're going to be hiring 5 more soon. You guys appropriated money for 4 of those, and then 1 is a lateral. He's going through some medical testing right now, and then he'll be hired as soon as we possibly can once he's cleared through medical. So that'll get us actually the full staff for a really short period of time. Don't get too excited because we have somebody retiring April 15th. So then we're going to be back down 1. So we were working with civil service to get a new list and test in place. Currently, we don't have any applicants because that process takes a little while. We're currently trying to work with them to streamline that as well. We are going to be applying for the COPS grant. They put that out again. So hopefully we can get some officers through that. You guys are familiar with that grant. It's very similar to like the SAFER grants. Barbara would have more information for you, but I do know the deadline for that is May 11th. We have been working with her to get her the information she needs so she can apply and get that done. Where we would fall in it, we just don't know at this point in time. I'd like to see us get several officers off of that if we possibly can. So total calls for service in 2022 was 47,000 and some change. So as you can tell, we're having 51,000 people. We're pretty busy here in the city. Just to give you some examples of some of the stats that we did respond on, responded to just over 1,500 car crashes, made just under 5,000 traffic stops in the city, issued just over 1,000 citations, about 700 parking citations, which the SID and NDA cover that. Total domestics in our city, I know we've been working on a domestic violence task force, but we have 1,427 domestics in our city. So that keeps our officers pretty busy. When you think about a domestic for us, it's a 2-person call. So that ties up 2 units right there. And if you have multiples of the day, which we usually do, it ties up our people pretty quick. Like I told you, when I first became chief, I wanted to modernize our department as best that we can, try to make it more efficient for our officers. So some of the technological advancements we did, we brought the online reporting system in, which you guys appropriated. It didn't go live until September of last year. And from September until December 31st, 315 calls for service were handled just by that system alone. So that means an officer doesn't have to respond right away. We'll follow up on it. It could be, a call where there is no suspect, that somebody wanted it for insurance purposes or just to report something to us. This year, so far to date, we've taken 260 calls with that system. So if we keep going, that is a significant change. It's a change that I was hoping to free up our officers and get them out on the street more instead of handling some calls with a little bit more minutia involved in them. The backside of that is what's called request a report. So it's our public records management side. We get a lot of public records requests into our department. So it's an automated system that handles all that and tracks down to the second who filled it, when it was filled. It has a lot of legal ramifications and safeguards in place for us that we can actually tell people, oh no, your record was, done on this date and time. Same thing, people can contact in with that system and handle get their own report. So we have new radios. Obviously, the robot and drone program are up. We actually used our drone the other day to help look for a missing child in Mount Builders Park. So that's been pretty successful. Our officers are carrying those on day shift right now, but any one of we have 5 pilots, if you will. They had to go through a major school, actually considered pilots to fly drones commercially. So we have those, and we have those available for I know the fire department, they need it, other city entities to use this. Guardian tracking, which is a document management system for us. We had a lot of paper going up and down and we're kind of getting away from that. So this tracking system monitors everything. If you want to create a document, you can put it in there and now it's searchable. So it is completely user friendly and will lead us into the future way ahead of where we were. Body camera program and the cruiser camera upgrades are all done. They're all deployed. I have mine here. See, it's a wrap. So you're wondering, it's on and recording. So out in the community too, our officers have really embraced the community forward aspect that we've been putting out. You guys have seen our e-bikes. We hope to get those out a lot more this summer. We got them a little bit late last year, so hopefully you guys did see them. They were at all the festivals. They were integral in the courthouse lighting. Once the courthouse is all lit up, people that are kind of trapped in the square, the bike patrol handled all those, getting all those people out safely and trying to control the crowds a little bit so nobody got injured. So actually watching that in action was pretty neat. That's why we got those. And people interact with those officers. It's very unique seeing them come up and interact with them. A little bit more approachable for whatever reason, I guess, outside of the car. So that's been successful. Our RAD program, which stands for Rape Regression Defense, is really sort of a self-defense program. Law Director Moore is part of that. She is an instructor. That has been a huge success. And it tag teams into the next thing. We created a group at our department. We actually have a lot of women officers at the Newark Police Department, significantly more ratio than most police departments. So women in law enforcement have unique challenges that men do not. So we created a group at our department. It's women in law enforcement. We have them meet. We're sending them to training. They meet with local leadership, just to discuss what they have going on in their lives that's different than ours. And that's actually been a really good success down at our place with those officers. They're doing an amazing job with it, and they're running it. They enacted it, they run it, and it's up and moving and doing very well. You may have seen, at least on our Facebook, we had the Battle of the Badges softball game against police and fire. Fire won. So, but it was West Licking. West Licking, I think, won that. But that raised several $1,000s that our officers went around and actually were buying sports equipment, backpacks, coats and stuff, and they distributed that out to local schools here just this last week. So that program was a real big success. Same thing. Two of our detectives came up with that. They pushed it, they ran with it, they did everything with it. We had our community day. Most of you guys were there. Mr. Harris won the sprint competition for that day.
9 miles.
Yeah, we hit him with the laser to see how fast he can run. It's 9 miles an hour. He had it. So that's actually pretty fast. I'll give you some kudos. I think a 9-year-old beat you, but it's okay. He went 10, but it was close.
It wasn't gonna say it, man, it's right there.
Yeah,
At least I did.
that is correct. That is correct. Cookies in schools. So we have some officers that they go out and buy cookies and they're taking them to schools on a regular basis. So we have a pretty tight network with Newark City Schools. So obviously they invite us in at any time we need to, but our officers are making a point to stop there as much as they can, just to interact with the kids. And piggybacking on that with Newark City Schools, we assisted over 90 children and families during Christmas with Cops up at Walmart, where we go shop with the children. They buy gifts for their family, and then we give money towards their family to buy gifts for the child. So that our officers love to do that. We had just almost our entire department was up there. It was on a training day Wednesday, so we had all those people in. We did multiple sessions in order to get those kids through. And then for those of you who go to the neighborhood watch group, you see our CIU officers. Although I'd rather have them out on the street taking calls, I think it's vital for them to be out in the community. They're also the ones who are handling the more of the traffic and speed complaints and those. So we have a couple officers plus the school resource officers involved in that. So they'll keep going to the neighborhood watch groups, feeding you on-site information, anything you need. Our fleet, for the first time in my career, our fleet is the best that it's ever been. Special thanks to Director Roads and Service Department for updating that, you folks for appropriating the money. And we've developed a viable replacement plan for the future that'll last going at least as long as I'm. So we're using hybrid technology for our vehicles. You may not have known that, but almost right now, I would have to say probably 75% of our fleet is the hybrids. So in the first year that we had them, we saved 20% on gas and just those vehicles alone. So now with gas prices up, it kind of evens out for us, but it's nice if we hit our budget instead of being over. So so that's actually good. But when gas comes back down, that technology will go leaps and bounds for us. So, and then all of this wouldn't be possible without the relationships we foster with each of you. We talk to you guys as much as we possibly can, keeping you informed. The city administration, the same thing, working with the mayor, law director on a daily basis. So the Division of Police would like to thank you for your support and moving forward. I'll stand for any questions if you have.
Nice report, thank you. It's a little out of the ordinary. Does anybody have a question about his report? Perfect, thank you.
Good news.
Very nice. Ma'am, anyone else like to speak? Okay.
Because it's the beginning of spring, I've decided to get myself to a lot more buff.
This is.
And yeah, I know it's a miracle. But anyway, I started last week with taking a walk from the downtown area to my own neighborhood and got to explore a bunch of the sidewalks and streets in the process. And it involved daylight and dark because it took me a long time to get back home. So anyway, I found the lighting isn't so great, and the streets, particularly around Main Street, north and south, have a lot of rough passages and lack of sidewalks, which a lot of mud, which make it really difficult for a walking neighborhood. I do have to say that I have noticed that in Mr. Hauser's and Mr. Ryan's areas, there has been a lot of work on sidewalks, and I really appreciate that in my goals, because I do intend to walk a lot of neighborhoods. So a reminder that one of the worst areas in terms of that was as I got closer to home. There are some unfinished projects that have, and it's been going on for about 3 years, that are still incomplete, particularly on 40th Street and Main Street. The other thing is, I've had to report some phone calls that I and a lot of seniors have been getting along political lines. They seem to be asking for information on voting and asking for money, and mention an awful lot of political figures. I'm surprised at this, and I think it does seem to be Spanish, sort of corrupt. So I'm going to continue reporting these, and I'm going to encourage other people to do so as well, because this is dangerous. They are definitely looking to scam people. So that's it.
Thank you. That was Mrs. William Smith, 23754. Mr. Hauser.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to thank the police chief for all of his updates. It's always great to hear about all those good programs. And for Mr. Hickman, my condolences, and you'll be my prayers. And with that, I'll pass.
Thank you, Mr. Hauser. Mr. Labutus.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do want to thank Chief McKee for a fantastic report. That's a full list of things that you reported in addition to keeping the city safe as well. Very job. So kudos to you and all of the police for doing that. Mr. Hickman, again, you made our prayers in coming days. Absolutely. That I will pass.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Mr. Lyon?
Thank you, Mr. President. Chief, yeah, thank you. That was a really great report. Any chance we could get an email of that list? Because I'm gonna lose my notes, so get it electronic.
I will send it to you, Janine. I have actually a better breakdown of mine and when I inundate you with.
Yeah, no, it was, I mean, just like Mark said, I've got a whole list of notes here, so.
Yeah, I'll
I'm really excited about all the work you guys are doing and appreciate the relationship as well. So thank you. With that, I'll pass.
Thank you, Mr. Lyon. Mr. Marmy?
Thank you, Mr. President. Need to call a finance committee meeting for April the 3rd, is it? Yep. So April the 3rd. Just a couple of comments. One, Chief, I really appreciate the information. I love the fact that things are getting better and the improvements. I know the last election that I ran, that was the #1 thing that citizens were concerned about was our police force and their ability to be able to secure the safety of our citizens. And so that's just more information that we can pass along to folks that I really do greatly appreciate that. And with that, I'll pass actually.
Thank you, Mr. Marmy. Mr. Rath?
Thank you. Pretty excited about getting a new Medicaid and find it very ironic that on the first day of spring. We passed legislation to buy 2 new snowplows.
Yes.
But nonetheless, I'm also excited we're increasing our. Chief, sorry. What did they say? Sorry. Yeah. Chief, it's also that we're at full force only for a minute. But we haven't even been close in the past. So kudos to that. Glad that you've got a great fleet going. And even more impressed that we have a plan in place to keep that fleet up to where it is. As far as the sidewalks go on West Main, we've talked about that for years. And we have a major sidewalk project that's scheduled. And I would imagine it's going to start sometime this spring. We passed legislation to fund that last fall. Condolences, Mr. Hickman, you and your family. We're thinking about you. And I'll call a service committee meeting for April 3rd.
Thank you, Mr. Rath. Mr. Ron?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I'd like to echo that, Chief. I appreciate all you've done for the city. The culture that you're building at NPD is far none, so I appreciate you very much. I just have another thing, an update on the Hollander pool. We are April 5th, we're looking at a grant for shade structure. So that was sent to me by Parks and Recreation Director Chance Patrick. So I appreciate that for her for that, and it's good some shade structure. So that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Mr. Parker?
Thank you, Mr. President. Very quick, condolences on your loss. I understand completely how it is, and your family will be in my family's prayers. Chief McKee, as everyone said, thank you. Your leadership and with the rest of the deputy chiefs has set the tone for the department, and it's definitely being seen in the community. I know that, recently Director Hickman helping with this a corporate client or corporate citizen, corporate company here in Newark reached out about the flock cameras, wanting to learn more, and we got them connected with flock directly, and it looks like they may be purchasing the flock cameras for their own private facilities. So that was great news to me. It was a win, as one of the things we talked about initially when flock came about. So thank you for that. One last thing I just have is I would hope, we're getting to the end of the first quarter. I know that we've had one union contract that has been somewhat approved or has been approved. We've got 2 others out there. I would hope that we as council would have an update here soon on what the status of those 2 other contracts are. So with that, I will pass.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Ms. Blind?
Thank you, Mr. President. Safety Director, I am I'm sorry for your loss, and we will be praying for you again to travel and, during this next month. It's a rough time. And I'd like to thank all the community volunteers who've been coming out every weekend to different parts of South Newark to make improvements. Some are important to their hearts, some they just want to take care of the other people in the neighborhood. And that means a lot. It's great to see people working together on goals that really include everyone. And I'd like to thank the fire department. They responded quickly and very well to emergencies in South Newark and I want to tell you how beloved you guys are, our EMS forces, because peer pressure is starting to push back against those folks who are making calls or starting fires. And so they want to take care of them so they can take care of you. So thank you. And Chief, thank you for that great report. I had a resident reach out recently, back last week, and he had said that for the first time, his property value had come up significantly because the calls to police have been less and less in that neighborhood as the neighborhood's becoming more secure. And property maintenance is doing a great job in our neighborhoods, but your presence is so important. Thank you so much. Thank you for all you do. I'm grateful for the snow plows as well. Thank you.
Ms. Blind, Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Hickman, and my condolences. Been there, it's a rough spot, but it'll get better. Just hang in there. I need to call a rules committee meeting for April the 3rd. And Chief, thank you for the update. Since we're up to the snow, we're going to talk about bringing Team 7 back. So Team 7 was really good back in the day, so hopefully maybe we could get that up and rolling again. So, and with that, I pass.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Ms. Hattiger.
Thank you, Mr. President. Being last, you don't get to say anything new, although I do have one thing, but I'll say that. Condolences, Mr. Hickman, and his family. I'm sorry for that. Thinking of you, praying for you. Chief McKee, thank you so much. Wonderful update. I'm looking forward to next year. You can talk about block and how that helps. The number of times we were able to use that and put more officers on the street, and that helps. So, but it's just exciting to be able to say that we have a full force now. I was happy to support that legislation that came through finance earlier today to fund these positions. I'm sure that's excited about that too. So that's great. So thank you for that. And my one thing that I can say that nobody else said is I want to thank the mayor, the law director, Mark Motter, who's in the audience, and Councilman Michael Hauser for coming out to the ribbon cutting last Friday for St. Vincent Haven, the men's shelter. It was a wonderful turnout, even though the weather wasn't so great. Thank you for standing in the rain for a little bit of it, but a wonderful facility and just nice to be able to get that up and running. So
Thank you, Ms. Hattiger.
Ms. Grant, did I hear her just say roll tide?
no, you did not.
We only say that.
We only say that basketball.
That's what I changed the order tonight just because Mr. Spurgeon is going to go last year and he would like to do an executive session to discuss a personnel matter. That's why I've changed the order this evening, so we're not done yet, but that way the audience doesn't have to stay, because as soon as he's done, we're going to come out. Nothing's going to be discussed and we're going to adjourn. So that way they didn't have to come back in to hear us. Law Director Moore.
Oh, I'll keep this quick then. Director, my condolences to you and family. Chief McKee, it's been an honor serving with you. And I feel very grateful being part of RAD. I think that is a great thing. I know that was important to you to start. April Fleming, Mackenzie Harris, they do a wonderful job leading that. And like I said, I'm just so happy to be a part of that. It's such a good thing. And people should know that you can call the police department and, you know, women can get a class with the police department, schedule that with them, you know, and it's free to the public, and it just gives women some things to do to know how to simply act. Great program. With that, I'll pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Moore. Mayor Hall.
Yes, of course, Tim, condolences. We've had some discussion the last couple of days, and really our family has their prayers out for you, and as I think Jeff said, it gets a little better, but it's always some good memories. I want to thank the chief certainly for giving us an update in the police department. Appreciate all the police officers and firefighter paramedics that are here this evening. It's an honor to work with those two departments, I will tell you that. And I got heads bobbing, absolutely. We, as administration, we love working with you guys and gals. And first class, if you can't tell that, certainly from your side, they work hard, they run a lot of calls, and this is a great community because of that. So, and for all the citizens, I want to thank all of you for all what you do. And from the administration, it's a pleasure to work with all of you. That'll pass.
Thank you, Mayor. Any city officials this evening?
Good evening, Mr. President. I too would like to extend my condolences to Director Hickman. I didn't know Mr. Hickman, but I do know this. He raised a fine son, and I'm blessed to call a friend. So Tim, you're not alone. Susan, I'll keep your family, their thoughts and prayers and stuff. Also, Mr. President, I would like to provide an update on behalf of the administration on contract negotiations. I believe that best we do that in executive session. If you could send in professional courtesy, please.
Who would you like in the executive session?
Well, certainly the council, the mayor, the cabinet, and whoever the council deems fit, certainly the directors.
Okay. So we're going to go into an executive session here in just a moment. We're going to take a vote about that, but we'll have to clear the room. When we get done with the executive session, we'll come back out. There'll be no decisions made in the executive session, and then we're going to adjourn. So, I mean, if you want to stick around, you can, but we're just going to come back and adjourn. So that's why I changed the order so you could hear what everybody had to say and wouldn't have to sit here and just come back in. So if everybody would like to leave except who Mr. Spurgeon would like to be here.
President, we'll make a motion to go in executive session.
Second by Mr. Army, second by Mr. Lang. Any words from the audience? Saying aye. You gotta look We're going into executive session to discuss. We'll take a roll call vote to go into executive session.
Hauser?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Wine? Yes. Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Cottinger?
Yes.
Mr. Roach, you close the doors for me?
I'll deal with this.
I'll get it.